Part 96. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 951. Chapter 951, Taking my husband to the graduation party. Wei brought Yezikin to attend her 3-month training and graduation meeting for two purposes. One was because she graduated, and the other was to convince those people that she was married and her pregnancy was honorable. We are all adults, so graduation here will be different from graduation when you are actually studying. If people who don't know see it, they will think that they are attending a party, but it is more serious than a party. Yes, only deskmate hurried over to say hello, and of course his focus fell on Yezikin. Xiao Li, this is you. Wei held Yezikin's arm and turned back to smile slightly, and introduced to his table mate, this is my husband, whose surname is Ye. Hello, Mr. Ye. He extended his hand politely, but Yezikin was unwilling to hold it. Wei took the initiative to reach out and hold the hand of his deskmate to ease the embarrassment. I'm sorry, my husband is not used to dealing with strangers. It actually goes against my will to say this. But there are only two types of people Yezikin is willing to shake hands with, one is someone close to him, and the other is a business partner. It would make him feel uncomfortable if everyone shook hands with him. Other students in the class slowly gathered over. Xiaoling, is this your boyfriend? The only thing Ye told them frankly about Yezikin was his identity, and the expressions of those present had different expressions. There are those who are jealous, and there are those who take it for granted. Xiaolian is so good looking, no wonder her husband is so good. It's just a good looking face. Whether you are excellent or not depends not only on your face. Don't be sour. Just talk. In the same speech by the principal, the tutor here will also distribute a graduation gift to the class. Of course, the gifts are different. Some are just items, while others are recommended by instructors. For example, Knight is the only one. Ye was the only one who was called on stage. Her graduation results were not the best, but they were indeed top-notch. She was better than many professionals, so her learning attitude and spirit were always praised by her tutors. The graduation party here is not only attended by people from the school. One of the reasons is that you can bring your family members to visit. The other is that other people in the music industry will select talents. The instructor had a very good impression of Ye. Wei gave a lecture on the training experience on stage and was about to walk over to Yezikin's seat when he suddenly heard the instructor's voice. Turning around, she saw her instructor waving to her. Xiao, come here. Hello, teacher. He went over to say hello to the teacher first, and then nodded to the two unknown middle-aged men next to him. The tutor introduced her to the two people. It turned out that she was a senior executive of a well-known music company in G City. Wei accepted this kindness and was very grateful to his mentor. After a few brief conversations, Wei received the business cards from the two music companies. She took it in her hand and looked at it, and suddenly she felt someone holding her shoulder from behind. The familiar scent around her made her feel at ease. Brother, look what I got. The expression on her face was as happy as a child receiving a certificate and a parent claiming credit. It was obvious that she was really happy. Yezikin touched her head, and the two interacted intimately. Unexpectedly, a voice will suddenly appear at this moment. Here, are you the chairman of Yes Group nightclub? Directly pointed out Yezikin's identity. Looking back, I saw that he was still the person in charge of the music company introduced by the instructor just now. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 952. Chapter 952 Sweet Crit. You see, Xiao Li is very lucky. Everyone in the music company is very kind to her. How do I feel that the people from the two music companies know her husband? I think so. The only time I am admired by my mentor is not for a day or two. Even if I feel unwilling to do so, I can only admit it. The rest is mostly envy. Who made her do well in her class assignments and be liked by her tutor? Now, Yayuyi is not the only one who brings his family members to the graduation party, but Yayuyi's husband is definitely the most handsome and eye-catching man among all the men in the room. So the couple are quite eye-catching tonight. Those who are envious are silently envious, and those who are envious are like looking for loopholes. First of all, Yezukan's identity may not be very good, but later they saw that the music company they were looking forward to being selected had a good chat with Yezukan, and everyone had a better understanding of his identity. The men who have directly confessed their feelings to Yayuyi are quite embarrassed. It was difficult for those students to get close to Yayuyi again after changing their previous attitude. After this graduation party, Yayuyi discovered that many people in the class group established in the following 3 months of training began to add her as friends. Well, these people are really at their wits' end. She could only sigh speechlessly when she saw the list of messages about adding friends. These people must be here just for their status, which is not interesting. Yezukan saw her cell phone when he lowered his head, took it away and put it aside, saying indifferently, "Leave them alone." Yayuyi nodded, "Of course I don't care. In the following time, I will study hard and make the most of the knowledge I have learned in the past 3 months. Yezukan. What's wrong? Little Lingdang, have you forgotten that you are almost 5 months pregnant?" Now it was Yayuyi's turn to be silent. She looked down at her belly, which was already obviously bulging. The baby is so quiet that she sometimes forgets that she is nearly 5 months pregnant. The baby is so obedient and doesn't make any fuss at all. Of course this is best. He, my baby must be too smart. Yayuyi smiled happily and was narcissistic by the way. Who would have thought that the normally serious Yezukan would point his finger back at himself and say 2 words seriously, "Mine." At first, Yayuyi didn't know what the 2 words that suddenly appeared meant. Suddenly raised her eyebrows, she understood. Yezukan repeated it again without getting tired of it, saying, "Baby, it's mine." That serious expression and the tone of protecting one's belongings, simply. It's too cute. I don't know why, Yayuyi actually put his claws on Yezukan's handsome face. "Brother, you are so cute." Yezukan immediately grabbed her hands that were trying to do something wrong. "Don't use the word cute to praise men. It's just a giant baby. I will prove to you that I am a man." After saying that, he directly grabbed only 2 wrists, lowered his head and kissed them. After the lingering kiss, Yezukan was no longer satisfied. Yayuyi put her hand against him. "Brother, I'm pregnant, you bear it?" "The doctor said that you can." The magnetic male voice made his voice hoarse. "Don't worry, I will protect our children." Super sweet. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 953. Chapter 953. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law attend charity party. After 3 months of training, Yezukan took Yayuyi back to S City. This time, I went directly back to Yejia's villa to see Mrs. Ye. Because Yayuyi was pregnant, Madame Ye's attitude towards her was a 170-degree turn. Because she didn't dare to let the pregnant woman suffer, she could only coax her and pamper her. As for the remaining 10 degrees, it still comes from the unsolvable grudge between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. The servant cut the fruit plate and usually put it in front of Mrs. Ye first. Today, Mrs. Ye directly signaled, "Ask the young lady what she wants to eat. Everything will be according to her preference." Yayuyi thought silently in his heart, the 4 words "mother is more valuable than son" are really reflected vividly in front of Madame Ye. By the way, there is a charity party held by the industry the night after tomorrow. You can go with me. Charity Gala. After a slight hesitation, I nodded happily, okay. Now both Madame Ye and Yezikin prohibit her from working in the company, but things like charity galas have more meaning than just donating. As expected, she should also receive an invitation letter, but since Madame Ye took the initiative to invite her to come with her, of course she would not refuse. There is no need to dwell on things that have passed. What's more, no matter what kind of person Mrs. Ye is, she can't erase the fact that she is Yezikin's biological mother, and she has been kind to her for 7 years of raising her. Because her pregnant belly has swelled a bit, Ye Wei can no longer wear the slim-fitting skirt she used to wear. However, her appearance in loose clothes will definitely not affect her beauty, and in the upper-class circles, pregnant women have always been enviable. Mrs. Ye took her out, and Mrs. Ye's good sisters praised her one after another, and they were really envious in their hearts. Mrs. Ye is so lucky to have such a daughter-in-law. Chenner has good taste, and Chiao is also a girl with benefits. In front of outsiders, Mrs. Ye was particularly close to Ye Wei. Both of them acted like they had a good relationship with mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, which attracted the envy of others. The ladies from the Gong family and the Nangong family also came. These three families have always been on good terms, both elder and younger, because Gong Qinli and Ye Yuyi have been friends since childhood, and the Gong family's wife treats Ye Yuyi as half a daughter. Chiao, I heard from Li Yulai that you went to G City to study for 3 months, and now you have achieved success in your studies. Congratulations. Thank you, Auntie. Li Yulai also mentioned you to me recently. Faced with those people, whether they are acquaintances or strangers, Ye Wei can communicate with them normally, be polite and considerate, and speak well. Mrs. Ye was very satisfied with her performance today and kept the smile on her face. At the auction, each family took the initiative to donate their treasures for auction, and Madame Ye and Ye Yi belonged to the same family. The things donated by these people are of the highest quality, because no one wants to lose face to the family. After all the superficial work, Madame Ye suddenly took a fancy to a jade bracelet. According to the host, the jade bracelet is warm in winter and cool in summer. When worn on the hand, it also has the function of accumulating energy and nourishing the spirit. The lady sitting next to her understood what Madame Ye meant and asked tentatively, "Is concubine Ye interested in that jade?" Madame Ye nodded calmly, "People support jade, and jade protects people. It's a good thing. That's what the Nangong family donated just now. It's said to be very good." When the bidding started, there were several companies vying for it. 200,000. 300,000. 50,000. Mrs. Ye remained calm and suddenly raised the sign when there was only one person left. "Madame Ye wants a bracelet, who should she give it to?" Ye Wei knows that Madame Ye wants the bracelet. What will she do? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 954. Chapter 954. $2 million to buy a bracelet as a gift to my daughter-in-law. 800,000. Mrs. Ye suddenly made a bid, which shocked the person who originally thought he would win. However, the man was not a vegetarian, so he immediately held up a sign saying 900,000 to increase the price. Mrs. Ye bid again without hesitation, 1 million. Ye Wei lowered his eyes slightly and rolled his eyes. She did not expect that Madame Ye would like real jade bracelets so much. The other party seemed unwilling to lose face and continued to increase the price, 1,100,000. Mrs. Ye, 1 and 200,000. 1, 300,000. 150,000. 1,700,000. 2 million. Mrs. Ye did not hesitate to increase the price, but she choked the other party and stopped saying anything. The host banged the hammer, 2 million times. 2 million times. 2 million, deal. This charity gala was a success, and Madame Ye's 2 million was the highest price paid at the event. Everyone is envious of Mrs. Ye. Her son has managed the entire Ye group at a young age, and the company has grown bigger and bigger, with profits increasing every year. Look at how beautiful the Ye family is. I won't hesitate to bid 2 million for a jade bracelet. My son is great. He has a family and a career now that he has a wife and children. His career is improving step by step. Yes, family stole the show, but that's also the skill of other families. Mrs. Ye bought a jade bracelet at a high price. Ye Wei didn't say anything from beginning to end, because it was something Mrs. Ye liked, and as a daughter-in-law, she had no right to interfere with it. I just didn't expect that Madame Ye would stop her after getting the things. Jojo. What's the matter, mother? When they are outside, their names will change. When Ye was only confused, Madame Ye suddenly put the box into her hand and said, "Take the jade bracelet." Ye's pupils dilated for the only moment. What does it mean? Mom, are you going to give me a jade bracelet? This is something my mother loves. How can my daughter-in-law take it away from her? This was originally taken for you, take it. After understanding what Madame Ye meant, Ye Wei suddenly felt a little at a loss. Unexpectedly, the jade bracelet that Madame Ye bought at a high price was actually given to her. Ye Wei wanted to ask something, but Mrs. Gong and Mrs. Nangong came over again. Mrs. Gong suddenly understood when she saw the box held in Ye Wei's hand. I just said that concubine Ye must have liked this jade bracelet just now. It turned out to be a gift for Chiao Chiao. Mrs. Nangong also saw her own things, but she didn't feel bad. Mrs. Nangong was very envious when she saw that Mrs. Ye and Ye Wei's mother-in-law and daughter-in-law had a very good relationship. If I could have a well-behaved daughter-in-law like Chiao Chiao, I would love her as much as Ye Fei. Mrs. Ye, there is only one Chiao Chiao. If you want a daughter-in-law, let your family look or find her. Mrs. Nangong laughed immediately and deliberately joked with Mrs. Gong, look at concubine Ye, she is showing off to us. Mrs. Gong shook her head, my daughter has not been a worry-free thing since she was a child. She has to go to the police academy in college and we can't see her more than a few times throughout the year. Now she is assigned to an internship and plays outside all day long. It is not a worry-free thing. I really envy Ye Fei to have such a gentle and well-behaved daughter-in-law. That boy of mine is also. It's a little embarrassing to talk about those two lives. The relationship between Nangong Luo and Gongkin Li is really too delicate. While Ben was talking, Mrs. Gong's cell phone suddenly rang. Hold on, take a call. What? Li Yulai was injured and hospitalized. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 955. Chapter 955 Injured and Hospitalized. The group of people were chatting happily, but suddenly the news broke that Gongkin Li was injured and hospitalized. Everyone present rushed to the hospital, and happened to meet a doctor wearing a white suit and a mask coming out of Gongkin Li's ward. Doctor, how is my daughter? No matter how noble a person is, they all feel the same when they learn that their child is injured. But before the doctor could reply, a head popped out of the door. Mommy, Auntie, only one, I'm here. Everyone heard Gongkin Li's voice, and Mrs. Gong immediately let go of the doctor and walked towards her daughter. Seeing her standing at the door, he grabbed her hand and looked her up and down. Lu Li, where are you injured? Mrs. Gong's tone was anxious. This was also the question Ye Wei and others wanted to ask. Gongkin Li shook her head, it's okay. Is everything okay? Mrs. Gong remained skeptical. She lowered her head and saw a white bandage on Gongkin Li's foot. What's wrong with your foot? While catching a thief, I accidentally bumped into something. Under everyone's gaze, Gongkin Li sat back in the ward and explained the reason for her injury. That nasty thief actually stole an old man's wallet in the mall. Fortunately, I saw him, so I rushed up and kicked him, and he ran away. As a future people's policeman, I definitely cannot tolerate bad guys, so I chased him. The thief ran very fast, and I didn't even catch him. Of course, I didn't lose him either. Gong Kin Lee narrated the process of catching the thief in front of everyone in a very heroic and magical way. Then the point is, so how did you get hurt? When I was chasing a thief, I was just looking at the thief without a clue. I kicked something when the thing fell down, I reflexively pushed it with my foot. Then it was caused a foot injury. Listening to Gong Kin Lee's own explanation was not enough. They specifically asked the doctor to make sure that Gong Kin Lee's foot was not particularly serious before they felt relieved. So that's it? Be careful in the future and don't hurt yourself trying to catch a thief. Know it? Facing this group of people who cared about her, Gong Kin Lee nodded in agreement. Mrs. Gong learned that her daughter was fine, so she calmly began to teach her a lesson. You kid, you don't know that I was scared to death when I heard that you were injured and hospitalized. Since you only injured your foot, why did you have to be hospitalized? According to the extent of Gong Kin Lee's foot injury, she does not need to be hospitalized. It was precisely because they heard that she was hospitalized that they thought Gong Kin Lee was seriously injured. When asked this question, Gong Kin Lee, who was eloquent just now, suddenly became hesitant. That me, I don't have to go to work even if I think about being injured. You lied. Yes, right. Gong Kin Lee explained it this way. A few people expressed their condolences to her, and then only the palace lady and Ye Wei stayed here. Mrs. Ye specially reminded her before leaving, don't stay in the hospital for too long. Go back to the villa as soon as possible. Okay, Ye Wei originally planned to go back to the apartment today, but now that Mrs. Ye has taken the initiative to speak, she is embarrassed to refuse again. After Mrs. Ye and Mrs. Nangong were sent away, leaving only Mrs. Gong and Ye Wei in the ward, Mrs. Gong straightened her face and said, I know you have a good relationship with Ye Wei and you don't hide anything, so I asked directly, why are you staying in the hospital? Didn't I just say that? You are lying. You are talking about my daughter. How can I still know you? Lu Li, just tell the truth. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 956. Chapter 956. It hurts when bleeding. I'm just lazy and don't want to work. Gong Kin Lee, tell the truth. Okay, this is Gu Jinxi's hospital. If I stay here, I have a reason to meet him, knowing that lying could not be hidden from her mother. Gong Kin Lee admitted it directly. Mrs. Gong became even more worried when she heard this reason. Why are you so stubborn, kid? How old is that doctor? He's 30 this year, right? People don't like you, but you still insist on getting in front of them. Gong Kin Lee is full of fighting spirit. 3 feet of ice will not last in a day. I have just started to take action. The one whom Mrs. Gong wishes the most to is Nangong Luo. Isn't Nangong Luo good? It's the best choice for you two to be together. Why do you have to be so stubborn? Nangong Luo is my brother. Gong Kin Lee still wanted to express her righteousness, but when she saw her mother's gloomy face, she still chose to keep her mouth shut. Mrs. Gong went to the doctor's office to ask about some things, leaving Ye Wei alone with Gong Kin Lee. Ye Wei looked at her feet and asked, are you okay? Gong Kin Lee patted her thigh and said, it's not bad. It hurt when it first started bleeding, but it's much better now. Ye Wei saw her rough movements and quickly grabbed her hand. Stop patting, it will hurt you later. It's okay, I have thick skin. Gong Kin Lee was more tolerant and didn't take the injury seriously. Ye Wei still grabbed her hand and put it away. How can any girl say that about herself? I am a female man. Are you really going to use your foot injury to stay here and pursue Gujinsi? Yes, asked the good sister. At this time, Gonkinli nodded without hesitation. Ye Wei didn't know how to persuade her, and couldn't say anything to support her. She just sighed softly, as a friend, of course I hope you can get what you want, but my aunt is right, you can't force things with feelings, it's been so many years, if it was fate, it wouldn't have been delayed until now. The only thing is that fate only accounts for 3/3, and the other 7 points depend on your own efforts. Well, since you are so determined, I can only wish you success of course, don't hurt yourself. I know, how could I not know how to protect myself if I'm so smart, you haven't given me a few looks at Gujinsi for so many years, so I haven't had any problems. Seeing Gonkinli talking in a relaxed manner, there was no sadness. Ye Wei suddenly mentioned, having said that, don't you think about why you are not very sad when Gujinsi treats you so coldly? Maybe you don't like him at all, but you just miss him because you don't get it. Gonkinli shook her head, how could that be? I'm sure I like him. My heart beat faster and faster when I saw him. Every time the topic of whether she really likes her comes up, Gonkinli will swear that she really likes Gujinsi. When it comes to feelings, Ye Wei can only suggest things from the side, but he cannot make the decision for her. In the end, I still had no choice but to obey Gonkinli's choice. Yi, come with me, let's go find Gujinsi. Your foot is still hurt. I'm fine, I'm really fine, this is the effect I need to use this trick. Gonkinli insisted on going, but Ye Wei couldn't get her to go, so he just acted with her. When he arrived at the door of Gujinsi's office, he happened to see Gujinsi holding a woman's hand. And that woman is still the same. Yuan Ran. How to gain weight for. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 957. Chapter 957 Secret Love. This must be a misunderstanding. How could Gujinsi hold hands with Yuan Ran? Gonkinli is a straightforward person, so she knocked on the door immediately, can you come in? There is a polite process, which also interrupts the actions of the two people. Gujinsi's hand left Yuan Ran's wrist, and Yuan Ran also took back his hand. Ye Wei raised her eyebrows, but she didn't have the slightest doubt about the profound meaning of her action just now. It's not like an ancient Chinese medicine doctor, but he still feels the pulse. Gonkinli said something sour in Ye Wei's ear, but did not question the two of them self-righteously. What's more, the relationship between Gonkinli and Yuan Ran is actually not bad. The person with the least ambiguity here is Ye Yi, so it's best for her to ask the question. An Ran, what's wrong, you're at the hospital again? Well, review. Because she was missing a kidney, she had to go to the hospital regularly for check-ups. She came back here to thank Gujinsi for treating her before. Yuan Ran had heard about Gujinsi's achievements in medicine, covering almost all subjects, so she tentatively asked about whether her body could still conceive. Gujinsi had just used Chinese medicine to check the pulse. As for holding hands, it's just a matter of angle. You two are here and you're here too. My foot is hurt. Gonkinli deliberately raised her foot forward to show Gujinsi, my foot hurts. But Gujinsi only glanced briefly and looked away, without even saying a word of concern. Yuan Ran didn't understand the extent of her injury, so she asked a few questions with concern. Gonkinli tried her best to pretend to be pitiful. Ye Wei thought to himself, this acting is really not good enough. Everyone knows how much Gonkinli cares about Gujinsi, so Ye Wei and Yuan Ran both left very considerately, leaving the two of them a chance to be alone. And Ran, how are you lately? Can your body bear it? Don't worry, I have regular physical check-ups and there's nothing wrong with me. Then. Ye Wei was still very curious about what happened between her and Bai Ye, but she hadn't seen Baya recently, and she hadn't heard Yuan Ran take the initiative to mention it. She thought about it and kept her doubts in her stomach. Finally, he said, "It's fine as long as it's okay." Yuan Ran asked, "Is Li Yuli's foot okay?" Ye Wei shook his head. If something really happened to her, she wouldn't be so energetic. Suddenly he heard his phone vibrating. Ye Wei saw the familiar note and hesitated for a moment before answering, "Hello? Brother Nangong." As soon as Nangong Luo's call was answered, he asked about Gongkin Li's whereabouts. "Yi, where are you?" "Lu Li is injured and is in the hospital." "I know, my aunt said you and Li Yuli were together, but there was no one in the ward. Where were you?" "Here, here." How did she know that Nangong Luo had arrived at the hospital? "Where?" "It's in the toilet." "Brother Nangong, please wait a moment. I'll take Li Yuli back when she comes out." "In that case, I'll wait for you in the ward." "Well." After lying and ending the call, Ye Wei patted his forehead and sighed heavily. Yuan Ran asked, "Why did you lie to him?" "Brother Nangong will be very sad if he finds out that Li Yuli is injured and finds an excuse to meet Guchensi. Since Li Yuli doesn't like him, wouldn't it be good for both of them if she made it clear?" "That's what I say, but when you are actually in that relationship, it's hard to make a choice." Yezi was caught in the middle, not wanting either party to be harmed. "But..." Yuan Ran pointed towards Ye's back, "Turn around." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 958. Chapter 958. I'm going to hold a wedding. Ye Wei suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart. When she turned around and looked in the direction indicated by Yuan Ran, she saw Nangong Luo standing less than 10 meters away, with a gloomy face. This is not a toilet location for them. Ye Wei took 2 steps forward to face Nangong Luo and said, "Hello, brother Nangong, you are here. Well, is Li Yuli's wound serious?" As expected, the first thing Nangong Luo said was Gongkin Li. "It's okay, but she probably won't be able to jump for 10 days and a half." Ye Wei chose a compromise answer, neither saying no nor saying yes. But the atmosphere that followed was a bit awkward. Nangong Luo obviously knew that she was lying but didn't expose it, and he had to wait until he saw Gongkin Li's wounds before he could feel at ease. Fortunately, Guchensi didn't like to be disturbed by others, so Gongkin Li limped out not long after staying inside. Ye Wei scratched her hair. She had tried her best. But that heartless and silly girl greeted Nangong Luo with a smile on her face. "Luo, why are you here?" "I heard that your foot was injured, so I came to see you." "Hey, it's okay, I'm just pretending." Gongkin Li confessed frankly in front of Nangong Luo, without any scruples at all. Ye Wei pressed his forehead against Yuan Ran's side and said, "Look, some things can't be explained clearly at all. Although the truth is, if you like it, just say it, if you don't like it, don't delay. But when you really think about it, you will find that the more you like it, the more you are afraid of losing it, and some people would rather pretend to be stupid than do the opposite." Nangong Luo said, "Since you are fine, I am relieved." Don't worry, I just went to the hospital to implement my big plan, not to recover from my injuries." "What big plan?" "Guchensi, have you forgotten whose hospital this is? It belongs to the Gu family. Guchensi is here." Gongkin Li put her thoughts out in the open without any scruples. She didn't need others to guess. She was so straightforward that it hurt people's hearts. "Since you are so energetic, you don't need to worry about me anymore, I'm leaving." Nangong Luo pushed the bag he was carrying into Gongkin Li's hand, turned around and walked away. Gongkin Li, who had not yet reacted, was filled with questions. "What's wrong?" "Luo." But even after calling out his name, Nangong Luo didn't look back. Gongkin Li was holding something and muttering, "It's inexplicable." "Who provoked him?" "Yui." Can't you even see that you're so obviously jealous? As expected, it is still the authorities who are obsessed with it, but the beholder is clear. Brother Nangong gave you something good. Ye Wei saw the bag in Gongqin hand and was quite interested in what was on the other side. Gongqin opened the bag in front of everyone and took out the contents. It turned out to be a box of diced fruits. Ye Wei was a little curious. Why did Brother Nangong suddenly give this to me? Gongqin explained with a natural expression, when I was chatting with him last night, I asked for a box of fruit platter. I originally thought it would be sent to the police station, but I didn't expect that I had to accept it at the hospital. Ye Wei, Brother Nangong is very good to you. He was playing dice with me, and he had to compensate me if he lost. Play games and let your mind wander. What are you talking about? It's so mysterious that I can't understand it. I said, I'm going to hold a wedding, and I invite you to come. What? Wedding. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 959. Chapter 959, Love Assistance. Yes, the wedding will be held in half a month, and the invitations will be sent to your respective homes later. If it doesn't move, it's enough. If it moves, it will make a big splash. Half a month later, the child was 5 months old, and the belly was already obvious by then. They actually wanted to hold a wedding. Yuan Ran stared at her belly and asked, "You look like this, wouldn't it be inappropriate to hold a wedding?" Gongqin has quickly imagined a lively scene. Is it a particularly gorgeous grand wedding? Facing the questions raised by his two friends, Ye Wei shook his head. She patiently explained to them, actually, we have already taken wedding photos and received wedding photos. I don't have high requirements for the wedding. As long as relatives and friends are present to bless me, I will be very happy. She is not the kind of person who likes to be in the limelight, and she does not want to become famous through her wedding. As for the wedding photos, they were taken after Yezikin successfully proposed. At that time, her figure and face were impeccable, and it took 3 full months to edit the photos. Hold a wedding in the hope of receiving blessings from relatives and friends. Can you understand what I mean? It will be great if you are here by then. Understand? Yuan Ran nodded. Everyone has their own choice. I wish you the best. You are very lucky and you will be very happy in the future. Gongqin echoed, yes, yes, no one in our circle doesn't know that you are the daughter-in-law of the Ye family. Holding a wedding can only make those who are curious feel itchy and envious. Okay Li Yulai, you must always remember that you are still a patient. Go back to the ward to rest. I am going home too. She couldn't keep her promise when she promised to spend the night with her. Gongqin is not clingy, she just waved her hand and let them go about their own business. There are so many people in the hospital, I'll be fine, you go and do your own thing. Okay, I'll see you again tomorrow. No, let me pretend to be pitiful. Well, I wish you success. Ye Wei and Yuan Ran left the hospital together. The two of them happened to go home in the same direction. It's been a long time since we last met, and I think you're in much better spirits now than before. Always follow the doctor's instructions carefully and don't dare to mess around. She no longer dares to work like a restless robot like before. She now pays special attention to taking care of her body. Furthermore, since B learned the truth 5 years ago, he has tried his best to help Yushi Group and now has a stake in Yushi. You have returned to Yu's house to stay now. Stay with my mother. And you? The only time Ye wanted to ask anything else, Yuan Ran's cell phone screen lit up. Yuan Ran made a pause gesture and answered the phone in front of her without any scruples. The voice was very low, and Ye Wei couldn't hear it clearly. He only knew that the other party was a man's voice. I heard you and Ran ask again, are you having a party? Okay, send me the address. You and Ran really cherishes words like gold. The whole phone call consisted of the above two sentences. Yi Wei blinked, are and Ran going to the party? My former friends from the same department include those who live in S city and those who come to work. That's not bad. I do not want to go. But you have already agreed. Just building connections. Yuan Ran held the phone face up. Yui lowered his eyes, and his eyesight was very good to clearly see the meeting place that had just been sent to him. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 960. Chapter 960 The Most Beautiful Bride. Avoiding Yuan Ran's gaze, she quickly typed out a message and sent it to Bayet. Put away the phone, she doesn't admit that she is a love spy. And Ran, it's time to part ways, goodbye. Okay, go home and be safe. After saying goodbye, everyone went back to their homes. When Ye Wei returned to the villa, he saw Mrs. Ye sitting in the hall. Madame Ye glanced at her empty white wrists, and her first words were, "Where's the jade bracelet?" Ye Wei took out the small box from his satchel and said, "It's in the box. Come over." I don't know when Mrs. Ye also learned from Yuan Ran that she cares about words as much as gold. She seems to be unwilling to talk to her more. She just shouts what she wants to do, but her tone is still gentle. Ye Wei thought that Mrs. Ye was so nice to her because she was afraid of scaring her grandson. But she still walked over with the box. Unexpectedly, Madame Ye would suddenly take the box away from her hands, open the box and take out the jade bracelet, then quickly take one of her hands and put the jade bracelet on her wrist. Ye Wei was surprised by Madame Ye's series of actions and didn't know how to speak. After Mrs. Ye let go of her wrist, Ye said politely, "Thank you. Okay, I'm not doing this for you. As long as you take good care of the birth of your grandson, I guarantee that you will have a very comfortable life in Yejia." Ye Wei thought that she could still live comfortably even if she was not pregnant. However, Madame Ye had already taken the initiative to speak, so she had no reason to refute her elders. She nodded with a smile on her face, which was regarded as complying with Madame Ye's words. The housekeeper was very pleased to see the old and the young living together peacefully. It turns out that Ye Ziwei has lived in Yejia Villa for so many years, and it is impossible to say that he has no feelings. When the housekeeper knew that Yezikan and Ye Yowei were in a relationship, he hoped that Ye Yuyi could eventually return to Ye's house. Now that his wish has come true, it is naturally a good thing. When Yezikan came home from get off work, the first thing he saw was the jade bracelet on her wrist, and he grabbed her hand and asked, "Is this the item that was photographed at today's charity meeting?" "Brother, do you know everything? How can we hide any information about such a huge charity banquet? Not to mention that someone would convey the news to him, even the reporters at the charity meeting today would report these things. After all, Madame Ye was the person with the highest price in the auction. Brother, do you think it's too much for me to treat her like this? Things between you are complicated. I don't force you to get close. I just hope you can coexist peacefully. If there are only two people in the world that Yezikan cares about most, besides his beloved wife, the other one is of course the mother who gave birth to him and raised him. No matter what his mother's character is, the blood relationship cannot be separated. In the past 2 years, my mother's temper has calmed down a lot. If possible, I hope you can reconcile, probably because there is no cold night now. Mrs. Ye feels more peaceful in her heart." Ye Wei nodded and said truthfully, "I'll try my best. Years of accumulated resentment cannot be eliminated overnight, but people living in this world cannot be immersed in the past, and the future is ever changing." She also hopes to slowly eliminate the grudge between her and Mrs. Ye. "Okay, don't worry too much now, just wait and be my most beautiful bride at the wedding." How can you be beautiful even if you have a big belly? Yezikin held her cheek and kissed her. You are beautiful at any time. Brother Chen's earthy love words. End of this chapter.